Hello and welcome to We Are the Deluge, a spoiler-free chapter-by-chapter podcast about the climate change novel The Deluge by Stephen Markley. We are your co-hosts, Emily Crandall and John McMahon, a couple of VR pop star bitches creating green hydrogen glut, wrecking the market for dirty energy by wearing little Bo Peep outfits for Larry Page.
My fucking dream. I wish that I had that power in the world.
It's so incredibly rendered. Today we are discussing The Seventh Day, set in 2036 to 2037, the fifth and final chapter from Jackie's point of view, which we are presenting realistically in the form of a very accurate pitch deck.
And an innovated pitch deck. We're iterating on the pitch deck.
Oh my God. Iterating is so good.
It's one of those nonsense business words that has actually made its way into my life, and I hate myself for it every time it emerges.
Yeah, it's like the opposite of when we make like theory words into like adjectives or whatever.
It is. It is like the dark mirror to that.
Yeah. I guess if we want it our way, we have to accept the other way as well, perhaps.
Sadly, their hegemony means that their words get used more often.
Which weirdly kind of sets up my theory.
On that note, Emily, I think we've decided that for this very important chapter, it's absolutely necessary to discuss the market and competitive landscape first. So what is your theory?
Okay, I'm going to propose today to think this chapter with Rancière on dissensus.
That was my second place finisher for the theory this chapter until I had another less coherent idea that I will use. I love this.
I'm so excited for that. Okay, so there's a couple things explicitly in the chapter that made me evoked Rancière for me. One is that Kate literally tells Jackie that they need a voice of dissent in the organization. She says, like, Holly's out on maternity leave. We find this is on page 701. And Kate says, Holly says the baby isn't a good sleeper. She and Dean are averaging about 3 hours a night, which sucks. We need her. Other than you, she's the only real voice of dissent. And then later she says, tell me, what I'm trying to ask Wall Street is, what's your dissent? If you had to say something the rest of us don't want to hear, what would it be? And I was thinking about what Kate means by that, but also like what that sets up for some of the broader political stakes of these like philosophical kind of and ethical conundrums we've been grappling with. And the novel is, really treating really complicatedly, right? And not in a reductive sense. And it strikes me that there's also like a critique of the left in the novel that Rancière is really interested in pressing on, and like dissent and dissensus is kind of one way that he does that, one vehicle through which he pushes some limits of kind of left thinking up to the point that he's writing. But there's also a question in the novel that's both a literal question and a meta question about the function of art.
Yes.
Right. And I think in this chapter, it's also about like advertising to a degree, like
discomforting a great degree.
Yeah, right. That like advertising we might think of as an aesthetic terrain or something, or like I don't even know actually what the right kind of analogy for like type of noun that we might call it is for Rancière, but that like there's something being worked out at the level of like the aesthetic politic coming together in the confluence of like Wall Street plus Silicon Valley plus advertising plus like Washington, D.C. or whatever that kind of conglomerate we're tracing in Jackie 3.
Yes.
So I wanted to think with Rancière, just like this opening bit on one essay on dissensus. This is the thinking of dissensus, politics and aesthetics. So he opens this essay with, what does it mean to think politics and aesthetics under the concept of dissensus? Obviously, dissensus is not the only concept of what politics and aesthetics are about. This notion also sets up the theoretical stage on which politics and aesthetics themselves are unthinkable, and the kind of relations that tie their objects together, which is like weirdly kind of continuing on from some of the theory we were talking about last time. And I think in the last Jackie, when we talked about like object relations and affect theory too, which is really interesting. So at the most abstract level, dissensus means a difference between sense and sense, a difference within the same, a sameness of the opposite. If you assume that politics politics is a form of dissensus, this means you cannot deduce it from any essence of the community, whether you do it positively in terms of implementation of a common property, such as communicative language, and he's talking about Aristotle there, or negatively in terms of a response to a destructive instinct that would set man against man. He's talking about Hobbes there. There's politics because the common is divided. Now, this division is not a difference of levels. It's not an opposition between the sensible and the intelligible. It's not the appearance or the form that would be the manifestation of an underlying social and economic process. So in reference to the Marxist conceptualization, class war is the actual reality of politics, not its hidden cause. And then he talks about like some responses to his revision of Aristotle, where he like says that his critics, saw his like re-examining of the Aristotelian notion of the political animal as a speaking animal as just a return to the classics. So just a kind of old view of language or an old view of the subject or whatever. And then he says, this view is misleading. Starting from the Aristotelian speaking animal does not mean returning to the definition of an anthropological disposition to political life, to the idea that politics is based on the human capacity of speaking and discussing. On the contrary, I show that this common capacity is split up from the very beginning. Aristotle tells us slaves understand language but don't possess it. This is what dissensus means. There is politics because speaking is not the same as speaking, because there is not even an agreement on what a sense means. Political dissensus is not a discussion between speaking people who would confront their interests and values. It's a conflict about who speaks and who does not speak, about what has to be heard as the voice of pain and what has to be heard as an argument on justice.
Damn.
And it strikes me that like a lot of actually the disagreements in the novel are working at that register. So there's like a disagreement over what we are even disagreeing on, which I think was really pervasive in this chapter. And it's interesting to have Kate be the one who says, actually, we need this. It's important because if we're not disagreeing, then we've sort of lost what's political, right? And political in the like most robust and kind of generative sense about our cause, right? And there's also like this moment where Jackie says something kind of cheesy and that it like cuts through the tension in this like super lefty circle and it lands. And she says like, I think this is on 698. She says, no, that's the wrong page. But she says like, basically we need like positive stories.
Yeah.
You know?
It's the advertising.
Yeah. But Liza picks up that thread and is like, actually, you know what? You're right. Because what we are trying to do is to build something. And so like, and dissent for Kate is like functional to that project because that's what the heart of it is, right? Is like trying to figure out kind of in a really basic fundamental sense, like what it means to be human and to like flourish as a human in relations with other humans and non-human others, right? And like this is maybe like really cheesy, but like that's the fundamental question of climate change, right?
Yes.
And I think that like Rancière can help us maybe sort of push the political stakes a little into like a slightly different register. It's not just like who's right or who wins or who has the best analysis of climate change, who has the best strategic response to climate change, but like to what degree do we even like are we even talking about the same thing? And like how can we be talking about what we're talking about at the same time as we talk about it? Does that make sense?
Yes, and particularly that for him, part of the way you do that is naming the wrong,
yes,
the part who have no part experience, and then make the political demand and thus redistribute the sensibles. Like I'm thinking about Kate's line to Jackie, people need a vision and a demand, something to focus their anger and sadness on. They need to believe we can change this. I need to believe we can change this, which I think is the search for like, okay, what is the name that we can wrong that initiates politics in the sense that Rancière means politics? But the irony is that there's a little like dialectical flip going on here of something to focus their anger and sadness on. They need to believe we can change this is the negative and the positive.
Mm-hmm. Right. Because what is the work of that directing that anger?
Yes.
Right. It's like building something. So that like it also kind of calls into question the distinction between like, theory and praxis, or like, what's the word? Like destroying the system and building something else.
Which is also part of the terms of debate in this chapter.
Totally. Or even like questions that there is a hard and like really distinct difference between changing something and scrapping something, right? Which is one of the simpler ways to render some of the ethical debates in the book too, right? Like, can we work within what we have, or do we have to reinvent, start over, completely get rid of all of the tools, right? And Kate even says early in this chapter when she hires Jackie, like, we need to make use of all the available tools, which is an interesting riff on like Audre Lorde, right?
Yes.
In a way. And like, I don't know if Kate is doing that like tongue in cheek, or if she's just like, fuck it. Like, we have to, at this point, like, if we can appropriate a tool of the master, well, we have to, right? But it's like appropriating, not just reusing, I guess, that like how you use the tool matters for whether it belongs to the master or not, or something like that.
Which is like a little bit Charles Mills's point in his anti-contractarianism essay, which takes up Rousseau and Lorde.
Yeah.
And he makes the point that, okay, even if like literally, well, the master's hammer we can use to fucking tear down that house.
Yeah.
If we want to, or the master himself.
Yeah.
It's like, that's something like that is the line.
Yeah. And I also was thinking that Rancière maybe gives us a way to think about like the function of Jackie and Kate as foils for one another in the overall novel, that they're not merely like antagonistic foes or something like that. Right. But like in their political dance throughout the novel, which is like both aesthetic and political in Rancière's sense. Like they are, I don't know what the right way to say it is. They're like doing politics in like the most kind of fundamental sense of it, in the creative sense of it, I think. And
that in this chapter, Kate, qua bearer of politics, gets a little of Jackie's aesthetics, and Jackie's aesthetics qua influence in the world gets a whole heavy dose of Kate and Liza and everybody else's seventh day's politics.
Totally. And like, I think too, Rancière's sort of diagnosis of the problem on the left being actually one of like too much unanimousness or whatever, right? That like thinking about Jackie and Kate as foils kind of points to the kind of what's beautiful about not actually doing on the ground political work with people who agree with you on everything, right? Like, because the disagreements among the people who agree with each other are like of a different degree or a different order of disagreement than the kind of disagreement that Jackie has with them, even though they all agree on the like something needs to change. You know what I mean? It's like there's something meta going on here.
There is, particularly because Quarrel's sabotage of the movement is so subtle and is not often from the little info we have about how exactly they accomplished that throughout their time at Fierce Blue Fire, through driving disagreements. While Kate remembers during the siege, all these like moments or even fights that took place or like slight things that happened, it's not as if Kate like narrates a major blow up between Quarrel and herself, or between Quarrel and Rakia is like the moments where Quarrel had effectively sabotaged the movement.
Yeah. And I think Markley is asking us again about the role of the novel in the politics of climate change.
How could he?
Like through Rancière this time.
Perfect.
Okay, what do you have?
I apologize, Emily, but it's time for some Hegel.
Yes.
I particularly want to think about where else but self-consciousness and recognition and the master-slave dialectic. And I want to do that to think about Jackie's subjectivity, self-consciousness, and sense of herself as it's defined constantly throughout the novel by these like series of inverting, sublimating tendencies of social forces and other people in the social forces which those other people represent, and then raise the question of whether this chapter actually is Jackie achieving self-consciousness in a deeper Hegelian sense.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll start with Hegel's observation in paragraph 178 of the Phenomenology that self-consciousness exists in and for itself when and by the fact that it so exists for another. That is, it exists only in being acknowledged. Right? So like to try to distill down Hegel and do badly at it, like recognition is at the root of all social relations, but for him, recognition is also at the root of selfhood and self-consciousness. Mm-hmm. That is like, in order to become a self, you must simultaneously like supersede, but then also receive your own subjectivity reflected back to you by an other. Mm-hmm. And he'll end up saying that that only works if you also can see that other as themselves as subject. And this is part of what like breaks down and initially drives the polarization into master and slave and the master and slave dialectic, right? Because like for Hegel, any drive towards self-consciousness in his, model in the Phenomenology is a process of two self-consciousnesses who are each viewing the other mm-hmm. as an other, despite them needing one another in order to have selfhood and have mm-hmm. their selfhood and subjectivity, their self-consciousness confirmed in another, right? So like in paragraph 182, it's a double movement of two self-consciousnesses. Jackie, though, in this novel, I think is a little bit kind of playing out this question of external recognition or external sourcing one's selfhood and subjectivity externally and what that means for herself. Because I think kind of one of the defining characteristics, including the way we've talked about Jackie in the novel, is the oftentimes weaker sense of who precisely she is, mm-hmm. what she wants and desires, like as a life project and as a set of kind of core meanings and values. And that she's often commenting in like Jackie 3 and Jackie 4, like she's talking as if she was somebody other than herself. Mm-hmm. And so I think that one of the problems that Jackie experiences is that she is looking to places and or people for recognition of her self-consciousness mm-hmm. that are only ever willing to like take up the position of master or of lord, and never willing to actually give self-consciousness or like confirm or reflect or recognize self-consciousness in return, mm-hmm. right? Clearly, the actor / the pastor is not going to be a source of like recognition of your self-consciousness. Mm-hmm. Jackie's family does not provide a like psychic kinship structure, except maybe it does in this chapter, and something I'm sure we'll get to when mm-hmm. we get to a particular point in the main discussion. That Fred is in some ways the closest, I think, mm-hmm. that Jackie gets to a other who can reflect the self throughout the entirety of the novel. But because Fred is also the conduit into this world of the 0.01%, which can only ever refer one's sense of selfhood to capital, to wealth, to elite status, to signifiers of one's elite social existence in the world. Like ultimately, right, Fred,
worth in a kind of literal sense.
Exactly. Yeah. Like none of these are actually going
constructed sense.
Yes,
socially constructed sense. Yeah,
precisely. And so like it's impossible for Jackie to actually develop self-consciousness until she enters a different kind of relationship with the possible others and meets a different set of possible others who can do that reflecting of self-consciousness back to her. Mm-hmm. And only then can she be potentially an independent self-consciousness that has been confirmed through a mutual process of recognition. And so for her, that potentially happens in this chapter when she turns instead for her source of selfness to Kate Morris, to Monita Faruqi, to Liza Yudong, and to the new people we meet that are part of Seventh Day Now, all of whom exhibit a certain amount of skepticism towards Jackie. But despite that, and despite their misgivings about her, they nonetheless like create this relationship of mutual recognition. And I think, of course, this key moment is the walk that Kate and Jackie take along the shore on Staten Island. And that it's only by entering into these relationships can Jackie get out of like endless loops of being the like bondsperson in the Lord and Bondsperson chapter or in the dialectic. And even here, like there's this line about how, fine, Kate, make me just go get coffee for everybody every day and do nothing else. So like Jackie is willing to do the work that for Hegel is part of the development of this deeper sense of self-consciousness. And I think by turning to other places or other sources for recognition, Jackie actually attains a much greater level of self-consciousness and kind of self-directed and other confirmed subjectivity in this chapter. But then I have a skeptical question that maybe we can start the main discussion with.
Yeah, well, it's interesting too, because this is the first chapter where she doesn't like have a kind of an inner monologue that we as readers have access to, where she's questioning her actions in real time and relaying, but like unable to, like she's able to reflect on them in the narrative of the novel, but unable to like have like consciously react to those reflections in like real time in her world. So those reflections don't bear on her, like the self that she's presenting or like the self that is sort of asking to be recognized in those moments, which is interesting. Exactly. But also it struck me that the one moment here where we get her like fear still explicitly of kind of how people view her is her remorse over Hanaya, right? That like she's still can't, like sort of forgive herself for not standing up for her. And she's still worried about what she thinks of her or how Hanaya views her, which is like the one kind of moment where we get her self-consciousness in the different sense. The different sense that was like sort of permeated all the other chapters, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah. And I mean, even to go in a very different direction, the final lines of this chapter, and thus the final lines of Jackie chapters in this novel, depict her against her desires, affirming some notion of reality in a moment of fear of death, which is like a fucking Hegelian thing in like the most disturbing way. Yeah.
The two words that screamed Hegel at me in this chapter, but that I was like, I can't do this. So I'm really glad you did it. We're on 695 when she says, I felt the ugly bifurcation of my life.
Oh, I've got ugly bifurcations coming. Don't worry.
Oh, so good. That's good. Okay, but this makes sense. I feel like this is maybe a really hot take and kind of stupid.
I can't wait.
But I feel like Hegel and Rancière are actually kind of interested in the same questions.
Yeah.
And that some of Rancière's like critique of Marxist thinking is a feature of the like inversion of Hegel.
Ooh, okay.
This is not well developed, and I'm not prepared to like defend this to the grave, but
This is not the Deluge article we're going to write.
No, certainly not. But like, I think that there's something that Hegel is interested in that Marx or Marxist thinking just doesn't take up, that Rancière is also interested in, and that helps us get at some of this stuff that you can't account for with the structural analysis.
Yep. I'm with you 100% of the way on that part of it.
And that's as far as I'm willing to defend that argument.
That's the perfect way. I would say we've beautifully laid out the market and competitive landscape and found some surprising connections in that market and competitive landscape.
I want so badly
success
to sit in. What my dream right now is for someone to give you a product to pitch that you don't know anything about, and that you look through the deck 15 minutes before the meeting and then watch you give the pitch. I feel like you'd be so good at it.
No, this is like a YouTube series for political theorists.
Yeah, but like starring Nathan Fielder or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's it's our version of Hot Ones. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, I think this has legs.
Okay, wait a second. What is the theory version of Hot Ones? It's like you have to read progressive theory you progressively hate more and more as you answer questions about yourself.
Ooh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
But like, is that too tailored to the individual theorist? What would be the like, what would be like the neutral non-subject specific? Okay.
I don't know.
We lost our listeners there.
Yeah.
Shall we transition into the problem and solution section of this pitch deck?
We should. Can I pose a question to you premised on the Hegel riff and that is, does the novel earn Jackie's self-transformation and her switch of sides to Kate? Or is it like too abrupt or sudden? Which is my version of the Shane equals Lucy too cute from last episode.
Yeah, that's so funny because in my notes, I have too cute ? A couple times. But I think in some ways, like you could, and maybe this will develop more as we move into other chapters in book 5, but it's like if you lifted all the Shane chapters out and strung those into a book, right? If you lifted all the Jackie chapters out and strung those into a book, there's a degree to which both of those books are about Kate.
Yes. Precisely.
And for Jackie, like Kate is always there. And they've always been kind of dancing with each other, even when Kate didn't know it. And then Kate learns of it here.
But not immediately, too, right? Like Jackie once again knows the game, the chess match, the dance has begun before Kate does.
Yeah, but she doesn't win.
No.
Except that she survives.
And which raises the question of whether surviving in this world is a win. Right.
But I think, so like, yes, it is too cute, but also like it was always about that. So it kind of has to be too cute, I think. Mm-hmm. And I think for the political questions to be elevated beyond just like, an ethical, like there's two ethical positions. And at the end, you've had a good case made for each. And either the book tips its hand or you, reader, decide, based on the evidence that you've been provided, like what ethical stance you find most convincing. Like I think a book where the politics are like that is like not anywhere near as interesting to me as a book where the stakes of the politics are like, do we even know how to have the ethical debate, right? Do we even know what it is we're arguing about, what it is we're disagreeing about, the function of dissent, right? And like, I think you need it to be cute to get that meta analysis of like functionally what their struggle does, like them being locked in that dance does for the politics of and ethics of climate change.
Right. And thus it's telling that if Markley is tipping his hand, we have Shane and Jackie, two dialectical poles in relationship to Kate, both moving towards Kate in the end, right? Shane's fantasy, more of what had happened if Shane had gone to work with Kate than if Kate agreed with Shane in 6 Degrees all along. Yeah. And Jackie's fulfilling Shane's goal and actually working with Kate, working alongside Kate and like working alongside Kate as Kate died.
Yeah. And they're interestingly moving like closer to Kate, but not along the same vector.
Definitely not.
Which is also really fascinating. It's not like, a one line where Jackie's over here, Shane's over here, and Kate's in the middle, right? Which is I don't think that's available as a simplistic read, but that would be a way more simplistic rendering of the ethical stakes of the book, I think.
Yes, because both of them, like if we take Kate to be like a circle in the middle, the vectors that each of the two are on like pass through Kate. It's not like they go right through the middle and stop. It's like they glance through part of the black hole, but in a good way that is Kate Morris. In the way that Jackie describes her in this chapter, right? So it's and like even that kind of gravity metaphor is something that Jackie uses. So this is 703. It's hard for me to give you a real answer to that. You've done things in your life that simply defy the laws of gravity, things I don't ever think could have been pulled off. I admire you a lot, Kate. I always have.
Yeah, she also on 689 calls her like, she was a force of nature, practically elemental.
I'm also cryptic foreshadowing alert, thinking ahead to one of the final groan-worthy but incredible LOLs of this novel in Mat 5.
I don't remember it, so I'm excited. I can't wait. Yeah, but it's interesting to think about like those two ways of describing her juxtaposed too, because they're not exactly the same, right? No. Like elemental is like not charged in the same way, like as a metaphor, but also like sort of like literally
it's like ontologically prior.
Yeah. There we go. We got there.
Yeah, that's so helpful and illuminating. I know.
I love it.
I mean, this is such a tendentious question to ask, but is the Jackie in Jackie 5 the most authentic version of Jackie that we have encountered in this novel?
I don't know. It's really interesting because I think like there's a sense to which we're supposed to read her as having kind of finally achieved a sense of self that she's been searching for.
Yes.
But there's also a lot of stuff she doesn't reckon with.
So it's like is it a dialectic or a negative dialectic? Is the possibility that you are positing?
Yes is the answer. But like, there's a degree to which for Jackie, right? Like this is all still explainable by like a kind of simple like patriarchy. Like this is a function of men having too much power and acting like men, Like she doesn't have I think she doesn't like extend the things that Kate needs her for and the value of her position, the knowledge that she has into her like analysis and incorporate it really into her worldview. They're still kind of like they exist sort of orthogonally in her, and she hasn't.
It's the ugly bifurcation.
Yeah, and but she like recognizes it, but doesn't like reconcile or even say like these can both exist. Like she doesn't confront the dialectic. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like in her process of kind of developing this self-concept or like coming to consciousness of herself or something like that.
Right. Because there's a reading of this chapter that's available that says what Jackie is doing now is just trying on a different external source for her entire sense of self without that dialectically working back on her core being or core self, such as it is, as much as that exists. But I do think that Markley wants us to see this as Jackie's most authentic or most core self. Like I'm considering what Jackie says to Kate and what Jackie thinks to herself.
I was just going to read that.
when Kate confronts her. So, why don't you read what you were going to read? Because I got a couple parts I want to point to here.
Well, I was going to, it's interesting that she says out loud, you said it was never too late, that we all had a choice to make. So this is my choice. But then she says to herself, I thought about my dinner with Jeffrey and how I'd sat there parroting ideas I no longer believed in, but you have to keep saying those ideas out loud so that the alternative doesn't become real, so that the full weight of who you are and what you've done doesn't come bearing down. That shift into second person is so fascinating there because who is she talking to? Is she talking to us? Is she talking to herself? And like, why doesn't she say that out loud to Kate?
Right, because that's the most obvious you.
Yeah.
But instead it's this royal / self you.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
Herself. I do love that. And I think it's
Well, and then what she says next to Kate is describes it as an understanding that she's come to, which is like a different way to render it than this like fundamental reckoning, which is how she self-narrates it, right? And like, what does it mean to say, I've come to this understanding that like previously I made a bad choice and now I would like to make a good choice?
Yeah, this is where Jackie, as someone who is always neurotically questioning themselves and always trying to insulate themselves from their inner thoughts by the way they selectively choose and choose not to share some of the internal monologue out loud, I think comes through. Because I'm also thinking about on the very next page, the way she continues this thought. And this was her speaking out loud to Kate, and the moment where I think she most says whatever that internal reckoning means to her in her own consciousness. I was ambitious and driven and wanted to make a name for myself. I put my head down and did the work. Like a lot of people in a lot of walks of life, I learned instinctually how to manipulate myself so I didn't have to look at what I didn't want to look at. Yeah. But if it's not too late for anyone, then it's not too late for me. I'm scared, yes, but I'm here and I'm ready. And like there's I think, accessible but nonetheless deep self-recognition there. And then it does go back into a little like cliche territory at the end, which is, I think, characteristic of the way that for the most part, even Kate, like the most mythic character in this book, arguably, I guess it's Kate or Shane, still nonetheless is like messy and human. Yeah. And Jackie is in some ways one of the messiest and most human characters.
Yeah.
Or at least mythic characters.
Okay. I wonder if we'll come back to this in the Matt chapter, but now I'm thinking like, is Kate too mythical? Because here, like one read of this interaction where Kate is sort of convinced by Jackie is that she's like desperate. She sees Jackie has a deep pocket and it believes her, is like she's going to work. And so she just is like, fine, I can make this work. Another read of it is that this is like Kate's like supernatural ability to like read people, and she can see the quiet part that Jackie's not saying, and like sees in Jackie something valuable beyond the whatever it is that Jackie's able to articulate and convince her of. And like, so her saying, I need you is like a, I don't know, it's like Kate's, it's something that Kate knows and only Kate knows, or uniquely Kate knows, or Kate's the only one who's uniquely capable of knowing like the role that Jackie could play or should play or will play, right? In a kind of like predictive sense. And that like Jackie survives, right? Like that Kate, like there's almost a wink that like Kate knows that.
Well, she did come 10 feet from being mauled by a grizzly bear while she was taking a shit in the woods while camping.
That story is so insane.
So, that's the most mythological that Kate becomes. Because I'm also thinking here of the conversation that the two of them have when they go for a walk, like down by the shore on Staten Island, in which I think it's the most vulnerable we ever see Kate Morris in the entire novel. Yeah. Is on 702 and 703. And like we get the exact same bravado that Kate Morris always enacts and puts into the world. But also like I read as mostly genuine her maybe you are a capitalist stooge, Jackie, but activists and capitalists have at least one thing in common. They all have tunnel vision. Thinking around and through things isn't exactly their specialty. Maybe that's why I've been such shit at activism. Don't fish for compliments, I told her. No, for real. If I could go back to 2018 or so, which is a funny thing to say in a novel, or so, I can't even start to list the things I would have done differently. The chances I missed, I would have been surgical, precise. Maybe we could have targeted state utility commissions like a laser and actually put a dent in our carbon load. That's what I mean by tunnel vision. All we've ever had is the surety of our cause, and that's apparently not worth much, which is a little bit counter to what she'll say 2 pages later.
Yeah. And is like kind of giving Rancière again.
Precisely.
Yeah. Okay. So do you think Rukia calls Kate selfish? Do you think she's right?
Yes, but so what?
But
what,
like,
what
she's
leader of
both,
a giant social movement is not?
But she's both like mythic and selfish and basic. Yeah. That's interesting. And I wonder if this in part explains why your students don't like her.
Well, I say that very much in part as a result of like this being the common thread of our class reading of the Deluge is like, what do you make of Kate Morris?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it's like in this chapter, it's a really important question because of how cute it is, right? Because this is the chapter where we learn of Kate's death.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I love Kate's line about how she's built for speed.
Yeah. So
which
funny.
Is perfect. And that's a mythic line in the sense of it's what a character in a movie who's like a hero that just runs roughshod over the world says.
Right. But like, yeah, I wonder if she's anticipating, wrong. And this is a new read I'm just developing in talking with this right now, but I'm wondering if she's anticipating her death in this chapter.
Damn.
Her own death.
So she's Jesus.
Yeah.
She's Jesus of the climate.
That's what I think.
Sequel.
I know she's older than 33, but
the hit sequel to Jesus of Suburbia. Jesus of the Climate, starring Kate Morris. I love this read of her because there's something so accessible and human about Kate, to me at least.
Yeah.
But like, wasn't that the thing with Jesus, is that he's a human just like us?
Right. Could just connect with people. Yeah. That was his superpower. Yes. Oh my God.
The chapter's called The Seventh Day.
I know. Well,
on the seventh day he rested her. On the seventh day she died.
Yes. Okay. But also,
who's rolling the fucking stone out of the tomb?
But also Jesus's superpower is like being the foil for recognition of the self.
Yes. Absolutely.
For the downtrodden, for the slaves, right? Okay. Whoa. How did we wait so long to get Hegel? Oh my gosh.
Ooh, I do enjoy Jackie's confrontation with Fred.
Yeah.
Is a foil to her relationship with her true foil, Kate.
Yeah.
And there are parts of their discussion on 706, 707 that I don't like. But the fact that Jackie is just so direct and like says the thing that she's been thinking and it's just like hinted around more jokingly and says it in a more direct fashion. So socially responsible, I said plainly. Fred, you were long on a company that's institutionalized human trafficking as its core business model. That moves dispossessed people into slavery, right? And then later on, legal doesn't mean it's right, Fred. I thought that would be obvious.
Well, and then his response is fascinating because he says, we work with incredibly complex algorithms that are managing this. That's how this works. They decide where the investments go to keep energy cheap markets functioning and the economy flowing. But instead of dealing with that reality, it's like our whole society wants to stop vaccinating its children all at once. I mean, this is the dissensus thing again, right? That like they haven't even agreed on the terms of the debate, right? That like fundamentally they disagree on what it means to make knowledge about what we should do.
Yes. And then Fred turns to, you don't think I wonder if I'm an awful person? He said it so suddenly, a defiant admission. Of course I do. Everyone should wonder. How could I not when I have a son who, he exhaled slowly, who did what he did to that kid? Of course I do. Everyone should wonder. A, whomst among us?
Yeah.
B, that is, I think, another sort of tell about the kind of self-definition question that Jackie is interested in, because like that's a version of Fred that is, I think, more hidden in Fred's sense of self to himself and the world than Jackie's constantly shifting, somewhat amorphous sense of self is and what she projects to the world.
Okay, but here's my conspiracy theory. Do we have access to Fred really? Or is Fred's like self-concept as we understand it filtered through Jackie's perspective of like needing him for her own self-articulation at two different moments when she's trying to articulate different selves. Right. And so we get a version of Fred who forgives her when she needs to be forgiven. And then a version of Fred who doesn't when she's like repenting or something like that. Or like who, but at the same time is also softer on her through his hardness on himself.
Yes, because it's not, I think in the novel as we read it, and then to Jackie as she narrates it, it's not through Fred that the like final admission of how she needs to change herself in her life comes. It's through Jeffrey.
Yeah, right. And like there's a lot of
organizing King Jeffrey.
Yeah, there's a lot of Fred that there's a lot of Fred missing in the novel too, right? Like we see them in Venice, we see them at parties, we see them a little bit at home, but she glosses over, right? The one relationship conversation we get to see is when they decide to get married, but then we learn that they don't do that, right? So like this is only the second time we really are with them while they're talking about anything. Interesting. But I guess like maybe that's a dumb question because then that implies that like every character we ever get through the point of view of like a more central character is not like an authentic character because it's accessed through the also slipperily authentic main character or something like that, which I think is like not necessarily the argument I want to defend. But no, I think it's a question in Jackie though.
It is, because I think there's a line in this chapter that should make us question Jackie's understanding of one other prominent character in her life. So like on 705, as she's narrating the financial collapse, she talks about, I caught the ferry back to Manhattan, spending the ride glued to my tablet, toggling between updates about the vote in the House and the disintegrating financial system where all my assets and savings lay exposed and vulnerable. Here comes the key line. For all the work I'd put in to make my person and position secure, it turned out all that wealth was illusory, only as meaningful as the willingness of others to believe it had any value at all. Where is that? Have we seen that line before? From Jackie's mom.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. In which Jackie had the same kind of self-defense mechanism that she even sets up here for all the work I put in, right? And that was her response she threw back at her mom.
Yeah.
And I think her mom called it an optical illusion, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to revise my answer to your initial question.
Uh-oh.
You said, I forget how you framed it. Like, does the
novel earn Jackie's like change in teams here?
Oh, okay. I think it does because it is not actually given to us as a straightforward like Jackie successfully sublimates the part of herself that has like drank the capitalist Kool-Aid and realizes the radical like authentic core to her being. She just looks to somewhere else for the same kind of recognition, self-confirmation, but like hasn't done it all the way.
Yes, which makes her a better character because who has?
Right.
In so much way that Kate's messiness and self-contradiction makes her a much better character than if she was paragon of virtue, social movement leader. So too does Jackie's only ever partial ability to read self-define.
Yeah.
Make her a better character.
Yeah. And so like, it's not this miracle. It's just a like lost person looking for a different place to feel a little less lost.
Or looking for Jesus.
Looking for Jesus, right?
Kate.
I was literally going to say looking to absolve her sins. That's so funny. She's like, oh, I fucked up. Like I need some absolution and like this will help me live with what I've done, right? Which is a very Jesus-y thing.
Look, for someone in the like vaguely agnostic or atheist or whatever the fuck, like, you know, never do I feel more spiritual than reading the fucking Deluge. And I'm not even joking. No. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Like Quentin and what Quentin has to say, what Reverend Andrade has to say, like those are, you know, be the religious leaders you want to see in the world. I want them.
Yeah, totally.
And now we got Pope Leo waging war against AI.
Yeah. And Jesus Kate.
Jesus Kate,
take the wheel. Sorry,
hello,
that was really
episode
stupid.
Title.
Yeah. Okay. I want to say a couple other things about Jackie and Kate as foils for each other. together? Because I think there's an interesting way in which not just on the political questions, but on the like personal is political stuff, they are maybe on another like vector, and that also is important to map vis-a-vis Shane. But like they have a conversation about children, and neither Kate nor Jackie are mothers, right?
Right.
Jackie reveals to Kate and to us, I think, for the first time, right? Or did we know that already?
I was wondering that, and I feel like she mentioned it before, but I could be wrong.
I don't remember, but maybe. Okay, so maybe for the first time for us, but certainly to Kate, right?
Yes.
She reveals that she has had a miscarriage, but she's never had an abortion, which Kate kind of jokey assumes because of her job, right? That like you would like women who work in these crazy, high-powered careers are the people you would expect to get abortions, and you would expect that like hypocrisy too, because they might be working on campaigns or, generating money for people who would, right, like take away the right of a woman who's poor to get an abortion. But because you're rich, you get to like circumvent, right, the rules to some degree. So there's, I think, a drag at her, even in the joke.
about the abobos.
Yeah. But then Kate tells us she's had 3 abortions.
Mm-hmm.
And their like discussion of why to become or not become a mother is really interesting.
I love Kate's admission.
Yeah. Kate says, I could say that I had like, ethical qualms, but like, it's just not for me.
Perfect.
Yeah. Just like, can you imagine having a kid with the life that I live, right? Is essentially kind of what she says. And Jackie's like, I wanted to in the moment past, right? Which is, I think those are 2 views that women have that you're not supposed to say.
That makes sense to me.
I wanted to in the moment past, but like, she's not super sad about it, right? She's like,
no.
I wanted to in the moment past and I didn't. And Kate's like, I don't want to, right? You're like not supposed to say either of those things.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to say either I chose not to, it didn't make sense for me, or like, I don't know.
I couldn't, or I was unable to.
Yeah.
Jackie too, the people with whom I wasn't on speaking terms were my brother and the man whose miscarriage I'd had the year before.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. But so briefly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit characteristic of Markley. Like, I think he is, this turns us back to some of the conversations we had during Jackie's first chapter in the novel. I think he has some awareness of the tropes that millennial white writer thinker guy would turn to talk about, the choice that characters would make who are women and who are assigned female at birth about children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's aware of the bad cliche would be to have Jackie spend 4.5 pages fetching over her, over a miscarriage.
Right. Mm. Well, and it's interesting too, because to read Jackie and Kate's interaction back into the Shane chapter.
Yes.
The only thing we know about Shane and Shane's choice to be a mother is that she decided not to get an abortion and that she almost abandoned her baby.
Correct.
Which is also from a certain perspective, 2 things you're not supposed to say, right? You're not supposed to say that you decided not to have an abortion. You're supposed to say that you chose it, right?
Yeah.
And I think Kate says that, right? The first abortion she had all the feelings that you're not supposed to say that you have or whatever,
exactly.
Which she doesn't elaborate. And that could mean you didn't regret it and you're not supposed to say it, or you regretted it and you're not supposed to say that either.
Yes.
Right.
And then she says something she's definitely not supposed to say. Joked with the nurse about getting a card punched so the 4th would be free.
It's hilarious.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really good.
But it's so all these women are saying things about choice and motherhood that you're not supposed to say, and that really complicate the idea of choice in general, and are super different from the questions that the father characters raise about parenting at the end of the world.
Ooh, That is very much true.
And I think it's kind of cool, like to some degree, the women's ruminations on that question are sort of selfish ruminations, right? Like even Shane, who worries about Lolly, is also like very upset about her own life, you know? And like, I don't see the dads reckoning with that in the same way, which is interesting. So either Markley is like really sympathetic to the moms, or he's kind of doing the old school thing, which is that like blaming the moms, right?
Yeah, I think he's having a laugh at the dudes.
Yeah.
Which is more in line with the former than the latter option you laid out.
I mean, that's my read too, is that I think he's sympathetic to the stakes of the question for people who give birth, and like people who are like differently related to the category woman in a patriarchal society. And like if Jackie's assessment that like we got here because of the men is in any way like a reflection of Markley's, like that makes sense as well, right? Like we got here because of the Tonys and the Ashes and the Keepers.
And then Matt is Matt is the figure who most wants kids for the most conventional traditional reasons.
Yeah. Oh boy. I feel like there's still so much in this chapter.
Well, we haven't talked about the end.
Yeah.
We should probably do that.
Okay.
Can I make a couple like structure observations about this to get us going?
Yeah.
I think that this is a brilliantly structured chapter as a how-to on manipulating one's readers as 100%. A writer. And I use that manipulation there in like pure positive connotation, not negative. We get the emotional catharsis of the like joining Team Kate, and particularly the conversation of Jackie and Kate, which is also a reflection on Kate, as we've discussed.
Well, there's also a reveal.
Please.
For that. Like, we don't know right away.
Yeah, exactly.
That Jackie joined Kate. It's dropped to us like a shock.
In.
Yeah. It's like she left work, and then there's a whole anecdote. And then when she comes back to work, she's suddenly with Kate. Right. And that's like.
And then we go back in time to how that happened.
Right. But like, what kind of genre move is that? Is that like
you might be wondering how we got here.
Yeah. But is that like a crime fiction? Like Cloak and Dagger? Like
it's every damn prestige TV show in the year 2025.
That's so true.
We start, and then all of a sudden, 1 month earlier, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that just amplifies the catharsis that it's hidden from us for a few pages. Yeah. So it affects us more when we do get it. We get the go off queen moment of the confrontation with Fred. And then we get like the total shit show of the shooting. And it's like, we get, here, reader, are several catharses that you might derive a lot of pleasure from. And then also like you have to deal with the reality that is the end of this chapter.
Yeah.
And then moreover than that, it's like, even at her end, we only still get Kate through others.
Yeah.
And even more specifically, like, okay, so the writing is incredible, is just absolutely wondrous, as it was at the end of The Siege, which is clearly the mirror, or like the parallel to this.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of I just marvel at the way that he writes this shit. But then secondly, I think it's extremely telling, and this goes back to this earlier discussion about like mythic or savior Kate, and that even as a protagonist of the book, or as the protagonist of the book, she doesn't get to go out in a blaze of glory, right? She gets murdered by a fucking mass shooter in this country that produces them like off a goddamn assembly line, right? Including in this book, which just narrates several like really horrific shootings.
Yeah.
And so it's like, in the end, Kate, despite her ability to defy the laws of gravity, is subject to the same particularly Americanized form of masculine violence or white masculine violence that kills a large number of people every fucking day, month, week, year.
She's literally assassinated by the,
And thus, like, I think that makes her less mythic. I think if she dies in a blaze of glory, that actually makes her more of a mythological character, and that this is a way to ratchet that down.
Right. There's something so horrifyingly banal
Precisely.
about her death. Yeah.
So it's like
oh God, that's so fucked up.
It is, because once again, we get the mundane of the banality of mass shootings and the spectacular of Kate's life and the writing of her death.
Yeah.
And like that juxtaposition is just like a fucking punch to your face at the end of this chapter.
It's so crazy. And it's a really interesting way to end Jackie's point of view, too.
Sure is.
Because like we don't get a bow on that. You know, like...
Not really. We indirectly get one in the final chapter of the book.
Right. But like, it's Shane, you know, Shane drives into the sunset.
Yeah. Shane gets to narrate more.
Yeah. Shane's truck is electric.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like so much that I want to read from this, but may I pick a couple? So 7:10, and this is another place where there's some Jackie and Shane pairing. The fear spread, ancestral, primitive, evolutionary, something beyond nation states in law and art and free enterprise systems, and even the capacity of humans to articulate and comprehend. Just a full body contraction, bottomless and paralyzing. That's so good.
It's a crazy sentence. I have that underlined also.
And then on the top of the next page, I can't bear the thought of what I saw, what a weapon of war can do to a human being. And then here's, I think, the key part. To the bone and blood and flesh of their infinitely precious and concrete form. Yeah. Which is the figure of speech that is most similar to the end of the siege.
Yeah, it's really terrifying. And I think also when we get the shooter, it's like, that's a little bit of not a bow, but like the mundanity of the particular Americanness of Kate's death, right? She says, at first I thought he was maintenance there to fix the heat or stop the alarm. That was how he was dressed. Dark shirt, dark pants, boots. He was carrying a tool. He had a sharp nose and dimpled chin, long hair parted in the middle and tucked back behind each ear. His forehead was red and shiny, and he reminded me very much of a friend of my father's, a guy who'd sold him farm equipment and who he'd played poker with every month. Because of that distant memory, it was a friendly face, a trustworthy one.
Ugh. Yeah. It's the banality of it's just another day at the seventh day, right? Like, despite there being an unspecified resolution to the presidency, the next morning is just like a day where they're dealing with the fucking political shit that's happening in the world, where they are cracking jokes that are very LOL yikes. To use the parlance of our podcast. And then something seemingly routine as the fire alarm and or maintenance shows up to fix some shit that's broken. And then the shooting starts.
Yeah. And we don't learn who the president is.
No.
We learn they voted on a new president on 7/08. And then we get all the way to 7/12 and we never learn who got elected. Yeah.
And
which is amazing.
When we get to the next chapter and that's explained, I think that's like a manipulation as well, because I think who we are manipulated to think is the president and who is actually the president are different.
Ooh,
is my take.
I forgot, honestly. I don't even know who the president is, so I'm excited. I think there's a structural thing here too with this Jackie chapter that's about that's both stylistic, and I wonder if there's something like meta reading of it.
Please.
The temporality question.
Ooh, love those.
Like when we get a admission that she's writing this for the first time.
Yes.
Which is right above where you just read on 7:10, I think, or 7:11. Even sitting here trying to write this now, I can't bear the thought of what I saw. And then we don't know when she's writing it.
Correct.
So when she's moving back and forth between the seventh day, right? Like the events that lead up to Kate's death and the year that had preceded that, when she's leaving TerraFund and going to work for Kate, that we don't know at the beginning where we are at the end. Do you know what I mean?
Correct.
So there's an interesting kind of play with temporality there. And then there's the wink to it in the acknowledgement that it's being written down, which I don't think Ash is the only character who is writing, self-consciously writing his own perspective, right? At this point.
At this point, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also that this is the only chapter that says in the chapter heading that it covers multiple years.
Yes. Yeah.
It's 2036 to 2037.
Yeah.
And even other chapters that have covered multiple years don't say that.
Okay. Do you think, like, so obviously in book one, all the characters are distinct from one another in where they are, who they are, their relationship to climate change, but also like as characters.
Yes.
And then they become like more connected to each other through plot. But like, what about as characters? Like in book 5, are they just like closer together as characters in addition to their sort of like increasing proximity to one another in the world of the novel? Or like, do they remain distinct? And if so, like, what's the function of that?
Okay, I'll give they become closer together in a very banal reading of my own, which is this chapter collapses a little bit the boundaries between Jackie and Keeper and Jackie and Matt, i.e. if we like cut the POV characters in half to the climate people and the normies, that Jackie and the normies become closer together as the book goes on, despite all three of them ending up in very different places with regards to climate change that none of them were thinking about at the beginning.
Right. So what is Jackie's function in this novel?
I think as the normie character makes sense as like a very easy read that's available. And the person who like comes to care about climate change to the extent that she does by the end of the novel, which is a little bit open-ended, but does so in a different way than Matt, even though it's in relation to Kate Morris that both of them come to care about the climate. So I think there's a little bit of that. I'm thinking back to our conversations in Jackie 3 in particular about the extent to which Jackie, for me at least, is identifiable as like, I'm able to identify through and with her in the way that she is a character that is all about somebody who is frustrated in their desire to fully become themselves and have a sense of what it would mean to do so or how to go about doing so. So I think that like she's an quote unquote audience identification character in that sense.
Yeah.
Particularly when she, I think, relatively easily fits into genres that we are familiar with from the beginning. You know, I think one of us
contemporary novel that deals with sex or whatever.
Yeah, that deals with sex, relationships, being a young woman in the professional like landscape and atmosphere. I think that Jackie 1, one of us used girls as the projection.
I think it was you.
So like the fact that that's obvious and available tells us something. So there's a familiarity to Jackie that pairs with her being somebody who's more normal and doesn't care about climate change until 2036.
Okay. This raises another question for me.
Please.
Who is Markley imagining reading this book?
It's a wonderful question. It's
each of them. Like there are Jackies, there are Ashes, there are Tonys, there are Matts, there are Shanes, there are Kates. And does Keeper read the novel? You know, like because Jackie, I think what's interesting to me about Jackie as an audience identifying
stealing
character
that one for the last class on this book.
What's interesting for me as about Jackie as an audience identifying character is that like she's an uncomfortable one, but also there are parts of her that her like proximity to wealth, even though she comes from a like humble Americana, like, you know, Ohio background, right? Like in the Markley's first novel sense, right? Like most of us will not have a private jet. Most of us will not like
stay at the fanciest hotel in Venice as it sinks into the sea.
Like, and so like
the Roman Empire.
But so is she like, are we supposed to think that her proximity to wealth subs in for a kind of like American, like if we all work really hard, we can be rich too, like a kind of personal individual responsibility ethic or like philosophy of wealth. And so like we have to, and like what's uncomfortable about her is those displacements and the needles she has to thread to live with herself. But then the thing that we reckon with as readers is that she doesn't do it and it doesn't work and she still has to grapple with the consequences. And And then like, so that sentence about you in this chapter is about us as audience members who wish we could identify with Jackie, but don't fully, but accept insofar as we sometimes want things that we know we shouldn't want, right? Like we want to take a private jet to that hotel in Venice, even though we think that's bad, that A, anyone could, or B, that people do.
Yes.
Right? Like we still want that. So like that's the degree to which we identify with Jackie. Do you know what I mean? Like,
precisely. Can I offer you a terrible pitch?
Yes.
Jackie's arc is a inverse or fucked up Joseph Campbell style hero's journey, where the thing that she has to do, like in like the initiation or like return phases, she passes through and experiences the trappings of the lifestyles of the rich and famous in 0.01%. And that the end is like her return as like master of two worlds. I'm trying to think what the other parts are.
I think that's really good.
But the fucked up version of it is she does that through where capital is the enemy that she has to conquer or vanquish. But she does that ideologically. And despite her portfolio being wrecked, she's still fine.
But also the only way she can do that is because of her wealth.
Yes.
Like there's no world in which
she's not getting paid.
Not only that, she donates $3 million so that other people can get paid.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to the way that we learn that she just kind of drops it there.
Yes.
And doesn't spend some time with it. So she's like, yeah. So, okay, maybe Jackie is one of the disciples that writes a book of the Bible.
Goddamn. Shane is also and that. So and Shane. Matt is also that.
Yeah.
Great.
This is getting out of hand.
Well, if that's the case, then I feel like it's time for us to go to the operating model where things are also getting out of hand.
Oh, wait, we haven't done our key product features yet.
Okay, that's right.
This is a good place to put it, right? After we've discussed the entire...
It's the best part. Yeah, and made several biblical / Christianity allusions.
Yeah, amazing.
Get out of the way, Narnia.
I went with Jackie's willingness to believe in the meaningfulness of wealth falters. She reckons with her selves and the foil she's been for Kate and cracks the fourth wall as the readers learn of Kate's brutal death.
Okay, I think we both wrote each other writing the summary. Yeah. The ugly bifurcations of this chapter drive Jackie to new horizons of discoveries about change, climate change, and self-definition, while the world hurtles toward financial collapse and Kate is violently made to fall away into an undiscovered void. Somehow this is real.
Somehow. Oh my God. Wow. So good. Oh, okay. Operating model.
Yeah. We never did discover what that means.
That's so true.
Which is, I think, appropriate.
Yeah. I thought this chapter was really funny.
It is from like the first line.
Yeah.
Or from the first paragraph, right? Where she is reading a savage and unforgivable empire, which described the race to profit from the ecological crisis.
But that's also really funny.
Island Fairy.
Because she's trying to become a reader again, but I'd chosen a tome both dense and horrific. I feel like... Okay.
To continue with the who is reading the Deluge question, that would be like, I used to read a fair amount of fiction. I haven't really been doing that for a long period of time. John, Emily, what book should you start with? And we both answer the Deluge.
The Deluge, obviously. Yeah. It's so funny. It's also just such a real experience. Like, I mean, I we'll go through little funks where I haven't read a fiction book in a long time. And it's like the number one mistake you can make is to pick up a book that's way too long and way too dense. Like you have to read a punchy 200-page crime novel to get back into reading or something like that, like
Absolutely. Yeah.
come on, Jackie.
This is the fundamental theory of Kelsey McKinney, the former co-host, the former host of Normal Gossip podcast, and
really?
writer herself.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
I thought on 685, the sign that is still on the office that Kate rents in Staten Island called Total Systems Inc. was like the funniest thing I've ever
Speaking
seen.
of Hegel.
Yeah. Total Systems Inc. I was like, that is so good.
And it failed.
Yeah.
It wasn't total enough.
It's so good. Like, Markley had to be having some fun with that one, right?
Oh, I certainly think so.
He has definitely read Hegel before. That's canon.
That Jamal Bowman is mayor of New York.
Yeah.
On 684. It's
so
like,
good.
Votes are on 2025.
Yeah.
Conclusion.
Okay, well, so conspiracy theory, did Markley predict Donnie?
Why not?
Yeah.
Why not? That would make him a prophet of, I don't know. We're putting him in this, merchants of doubt, prophets of political figures, whatever. The entire interview when Kate turns on Jackie is, I think, extremely funny.
So funny.
My students found it more disturbing than funny, and I was a little bit disappointed about that.
Why did they find it disturbing?
Because Kate pulls her shirt down, and I'm like, okay, probably she shouldn't have done that, but come on, it's so it's funny, and B, Kate's entire life has been surveilled for 15 years.
Yeah. I thought the moment when we learn that Moniza's living with Matt in North Carolina is so funny. Jackie says, I'd only recently come to understand this was hot gossip in the activist world. That's so patronizing and also but
not wrong.
Naive at the same time. You know
not
what
wrong.
I mean?
Yeah.
No, totally. It made me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
Krugman as the decrepit gadfly at the time.
It's really good.
So good.
Yeah. Affiliated with our former institution, Paul Krugman.
This one is not so funny, but I had a yikes when they're in the VR recreation of their home, and she says that her sister remembered to put in the banister. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I can picture her saying that with a sarcastic, oh, she even remembered the banister. And I was like, oh my God, Markley, that's a dark one.
Yeah. Or Kate's to Jackie, get the fuck out of my office, then go throw yourself into the swelling seas, you fucking hack corporate whore.
Yeah, that's really funny.
I'm joking. Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out. Peter, always good for an LOL.
Oh, Peter. Really taking L's. It's all downhill from the from the second Ash chapter, but
I know. Okay.
It's unfortunate.
On 696, he says, Mikowski asks if they're going to see him in Aspen. He says, nah, freak blizzard coming through. I told you, Senator, it's the 21st century. The new abnormal, bro. Read your Tony Pietris. The new abnormal is so funny.
Yeah. The jokes about Zayden that you alluded to at the very beginning are some real LOL yikes moments.
Yeah. Where are those?
709.
Mm-hmm.
The money she'll raise is in the social construct, said Tavia. Said Liza, money is the most constructive thing of all.
Yeah, her next tour will make $1 billion socially constructed dollars is so good and so dark.
Brutal.
Wait, where is it when Kate calls Jackie a sexy PR flack? That made me laugh so hard.
Or when Kate's suggestion is they're going to go out and do some huge rails.
So good. Win. Okay. This is the one I was looking for earlier. This is on 692. Jackie says, I think we need to stay joyous. And then everyone looks at her and she says, we need to keep offering the positive vision. We know we can make a better world. It's still out there waiting. And then Liza says, if you'll just join us, right? And this unusual interjection of sincerity seemed to diffuse Holly and Tavia. And then Kate says, oh, Jackie, you sexy PR flack. So good.
It is really good.
Yeah, a weirdly funny chapter for the ending.
It is.
But there's also that moment, the last observation Jackie makes at the end of their walk. This is on 704. She says, Yeah, this is right after she says, "You and me will do a few jumbo rails and hit the town." And then she was on a tear describing what our outlandish night out might entail. We were both cracking up. We ambled down the beach, me and this woman I barely knew, and it felt as though her laughter by itself might shatter the darkness I'd carried inside for so long. So that's them like as foils, right? But also like maybe a little bit of a meta justification for like the function of comedy in the novel.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Yeah.
I'm ready for funding requests.
Okay, let's do it.
I have BiLT for speed, except BiLT is capital B, lowercase I, LT.
Oh, that's really good. I sort of wanted to wink at Jackie's transition away from marketing for capitalists into marketing for activists and propose only blood this time with like some funny something with blood looking a certain
We
way.
could do it in a Nosiki style. Yeah, we'll use some Scandinavian letters for those.
Maybe we can combine them.
I think we could.
That works. Do we need to shout out our team in this pitch deck, or have
sadly we lost all of the new members of the team?
Yeah, sadly, through the course of this pitch, all the members of our team have died. So
Garrett, the bitchy queen, PR assistant.
I know.
Janice and Tavia.
Yeah, sad. Oh, right. But Holly's not there.
Holly lives. Because, yes, as we'll find out at the very beginning of the next chapter.
Great. Good. Speaking of the next chapter, up next, we
haven't made any projections.
Oh, shoot. I forgot. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
We've done a lot of podcasting. I mean, our entire, biblical extended universe has been a projection, but...
That's true.
I think there's time for more.
Okay.
Clearly.
Have you seen One Battle After Another yet?
Not yet.
This is what I propose as an artifact. I won't give anything away, but it's a little cute. It's a little cute as a pair to the Deluge more broadly. But I was thinking particularly with Jackie and Kate as foils in this chapter on both the question of theories of violence, the relationship of the personal to the political, and the questions around parenting and mothering. It's a really interesting, it maps kind of interestingly onto the film. And one thing that's really interesting in the film is that there are a variety of organizations. There's state organizations, there's activist organizations, there's the radical one, but there's also the immigrant one. And almost every organization is to some degree incompetent in the movie, which is very interesting. And I think it kind of dovetails a little bit with the critiques of the left in the novel. In this particular chapter, the criticism that Kate has, or the observation that Kate makes rather, about tunnel vision and kind of how tunnel vision can be sort of self-defeating to a degree, right? You focus so narrowly on one outcome or one goal that your ability to think more broadly or maybe even more strategically, I'm not exactly or both, or kind of both when they pull at odds.
Yeah, I think that's
is compromised. And I think the film also deals with that question in a comedic way, which is kind of interesting. The film was way funnier than I thought it was going to be, which I think pairs really well with this chapter too.
It does.
The juxtaposition of the darkness and the comedy. And then after you see it, we'll talk about it more because there is some really specific things in the film too that I was seeing as directly relevant to thinking Deluge more broadly, but also to thinking Jackie in particular.
I mean, this episode will come out quite a bit after One Battle After Another comes out. I can pop my headphones out for a minute or two if you want to do some spoiler talk.
No, it's okay.
Okay. All right.
I don't want to spoil it for you.
No, I won't. I'm going to take my headphones out.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
to
listen.
The audience. No, it's okay. No, because I have some proposals that I want you to confirm or deny.
Okay. Beautiful.
Or complicate or extend or
maybe we can do some bonus projections. Yes. We had a good quarter, so we'll do some bonus projections in the future episode.
Perfect. I love it.
Okay.
What's yours?
Mine is monstrosity. So I ran into the problem of just thinking about what are some things that are highly relevant to the way that I consider the relationship between the way that I evaluate and think about pop culture that I want to get out before this podcast is over, just in case there's not a season 2.
Okay.
And so I was thinking about that Then I was thinking about, well, none of these quite fit that I was considering, which then led me to self-justify constructing this monstrosity that is like the Deluge, in that there are many different genres and modes of perspective taking smashed together.
Mm-hmm.
So thus I project to you, 3 of these are some of my favorites, and one of them I've never engaged with ever.
Okay.
What if this chapter is like if the TV show And Just Like That introduced a new character whose favorite movies were Under the Skin and Spring Breakers, and whose favorite book was Red Street Blues by Cory Doctorow?
Oh my God. Okay, so the thing you've never engaged with is And Just Like That?
That's true. That's true. I've watched some Sex in the City from back in the day, but I have not seen a single second of And Just Like That. But
this is so funny.
my sense is that, my sense is that they're just like bringing in some random characters to try to make the dynamics a little bit different and a little more current. And I think that Jackie could fit into that, is part one. And then part two is that my understanding of And Just Like That is that it's a little bit a question of kind of self-definition or self-making or self-fashioning in relationships with others, but then also like defining some sense of selfhood and self-purpose, right? As one is in middle age or like late middle age or whatever.
Yeah.
So that's the And Just Like That part.
There's maybe a little of like Jackie's basic like feminism 101 too.
Yeah. And like the wealth of it and all of that as well.
I think it works. Yeah.
Okay. And so then we get to the things that I care about more. So from Under the Skin, I was thinking about that. And these are all like, they only like 20% work, which is why you fit them together to assemblage them.
This is so funny.
Major spoilers ahead for Under the Skin.
Okay.
Have you seen Under the Skin?
Which one's that?
That's the Jonathan Glazer movie with Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Okay. So
I think I saw it in theater, but I don't remember it.
Very, very cool. I did see it in theater, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. So Under the Skin, Scarlett Johansson is an alien on planet Earth, appearing as a conventionally attractive young woman to lure men to an underground pool of black liquid in which they're just suspended forever.
My God.
And so Jackie in finance is like the Scarlett Johansson alien observing society. However, there's an inversion because the world of wealth and eliteness is the alien, like Mark's alienation alien sense that sucks her in and suspends her like in a state of being unable to move or like become a self or something like that. There's the like tragic but viscerally beautiful and terrifying role of fire in both of these movies. There's the self-immolations that help shock Jackie into doing something different. There's the crucial moment of fire at the very end of this movie. There's, the motherhood conversation that Kate and Jackie have in this chapter, and the like very, very disturbing like child that's left alone on a rocky beach in Under the Skin. And like water is also important, and liquid is very important. So, like the sea levels are rising and all of that. And there's just something about the like very fucked up beauty of that movie that is 100% my shit and is also Mark Lee's shit. So I appreciate that.
I love that.
Spring Breakers.
One of my favorite movies.
Same. Like
I saw that in theater also.
Me too. This is also part like, we're both like in New York City in the early mid 2010s watching movies. Spring Breakers also a fucked up aesthetic that I am into, right? So in this case, Fred and Peter are James Franco's character, leading Jackie into a life of partying, albeit a very different kind of partying than the kind of partying that James Franco's character in Spring Breakers leads the 4 young women into. The pastor is also like hanging around, and particularly like the kind of like violence, but opulent violence that the pastor is like always suggesting. I think that probably of the 4 young women who are the main characters, Jackie is the most like Selena Gomez's characters, who gets a taste of this life. And while Selena Gomez's character like exits and like returns back to home of college relatively early or midway through the movie, Jackie stays a much longer time. So it's like she leaves somewhere in between where Selena Gomez's character does in the movie and the actual end of the movie.
I have an alternate interpretation.
I'm excited for that. And Jackie on the Staten Island ferry is like Selena Gomez's character getting on the bus to go back home.
Or Jackie, throughout the course of the book, is all of them in turn.
Oh, that's the correct answer.
So she starts as Selena Gomez, but this is so good, John. Okay, because one thing that's really, I think, a point of disagreement between and among the girls is like how much agency they have.
Yes.
So like they get on the bus, right? Some of them are like followers, some of them are leaders, but like they do it sort of their own will. And then when things start going bad, they don't want to have like accountability or agency or responsibility for the things that they don't want to be doing, right? Which is like a very interesting parallel with Jackie's like faltering or slippery kind of self-concept, right? That she's like, I worked this hard, I achieved this, I did that, but like also I am just one person. I cannot alone change the flow of capital or whatever, right? Yeah. Like, sure, money is fake, but like, look how hard I've worked to get my part of the fake thing or whatever. But then if you read her as a version of like the two that stay, they're like appropriation of the violence of the apparatus, and then like, but also destabilizing the infrastructure, the institution, the apparatus is like Jackie's move to Kate.
This is the Cory Doctorow moment, right? Where it's like, okay, how does somebody who knows and explains somewhat more so in the Doctorow novel than Jackie does here, like explains the inner workings of financial capitalism and the harm that it produces, and then tries to do something to disrupt it, right? And that's the main kind of Doctorow reading. Like Jackie's attempts at corporate espionage here, although Martin Hench in that novel is more effective because he's been in cybersecurity, he's 65 or something, or in his 60s at the end of the novel. And because I'm projecting this rather than Harmony Korine, the song and here we're assuming Jackie is one of the girls who remain, instead of Britney Spears, what they sing around the piano with guns is Gold Guns Girls by Metric, which,
oh my God,
which is made for that movie and maybe would be quote unquote too on the nose. But I think that song should have been in Spring Breakers. So I wanted to fire off that take while I'm here.
And full circle, Emily Haynes is the lead singer of Metric, which is fun because her name is Emily.
Yeah, and because the name of the previous Jackie chapter is Guns, Walls, and Sulfur Dioxide.
Wow. This is great.
That's what I got. Emptying out.
Later.
Okay. Hear me out, Emily. Once we're done recording 84-hour episodes on the final chapters of the Deluge each, little break, and then as a breather, bonus Spring Breaker spot.
Yes, let's do it. Okay, we can read it as an ecological film.
Yep, exactly.
Which I think is not
in Florida.
Stretch. I know, because he then went on to do The Beach Bum. Did you see that one?
I did not see that one.
You should watch that because that one is fascinating, and it's like in the water in Florida. So there's like there's so few scenes that take place on like stable ground or like on ground at all. It's so fascinating. Maybe this just becomes a Harmony Korine podcast.
That would be one hell of a timeline.
Oh my God. Okay. Wow. Okay. Now I guess we've come to the end of our pitch deck.
Yes.
What a ride indeed.
Yeah. Something tells me our next main character is not a Harmony Korine person.
Oh, can you imagine Ash watching a Harmony Korine?
I think that has to be part of our Spring Breakers Harmony Korine podcast.
What do each of the characters respond to?
We know, we know which character is the biggest fan of Spring Breakers. It's Kate Morris.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Peter.
Yeah. Like, Keeper doesn't like it because it's too weird. Yeah.
Matt's uncomfortable by the extreme sexualization of conventionally attractive young women's bodies, but also titillated.
And the ick factor of James Franco. Yeah. Oh my God, I love this.
Yeah. Tony's like, I have daughters. I can't think about this.
I cannot. Yeah. Yeah. That's so good. Wow. I can't believe that hasn't come up so far.
And especially because it's a shared fave. He makes it even better. So what do we have next, though?
Up next, we have the last chapter from Ash's point of view, set in 2037, called A Contemporaneous Account of the Eco-Economic Crisis of 2037.
Great title.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. I think I already know what I want my theory and my projection to be.
Wow. Well, I don't remember what happens in this chapter, so I have to read it first.
I just read it alongside Jackie for class, so like my brain is ready to go.
In the weeds. Beautiful. Well, thank you everyone for joining us for this super long episode of We Are the Deluge.
And we are the Deluge.